Hello. So this is our first programming assignment for physics for game developers, and we had two different engines or frameworks, you can say, to work with. So this was the Azure part of the engine, and we were working um, and we were introduced to a new engine called Box 2D, and we were supposed to get acquainted. So this was just a basic assignment to get acquainted with both of them, and but we were mainly going to use Box 2D for this course, so we were asked to use um, get used to both the features of it. So this is my Azul part of the project. So first we'll look at the demo. So in my Azul project, we were asked to the first two questions were to display the birds, all the 7 birds, and also we want we wanted to display the glass glass blocks and the wooden blocks, and we also were asked to get 2 pigs uh, onto the screen, and we were asked to also to have some kind of a rotation, increase and decrease in the size, the movement from left to right, and all those things were asked for us from us to do in this part of the project. And so we can see that I have all my 7 birds, 2 pigs, and different blocks, and we can see that all of the birds here, the 6 birds, are rotating, but and there are only 4 birds that are increasing and decreasing in size, but red and the black one are not increasing or decreasing in size, but they're rotating, and they both are rotating at a different speed. And also you can see that my birds that are increasing and decreasing in size also have a different speed for themselves. The 7th bird is just simply moving from left to right, and as soon as it hits the rightmost of the screen, then it just moves in the opposite direction. Our pigs, one of the pig is just moving around the screen. I know I've used the original code, but then yes, I also have implemented a new type of new code for the second pig that is rotating around at the bottom and is going all the way to the right of the screen, and then as soon as it hits the rightmost of the screen, it rotates back towards the left side, and then once it hits the left side, it rotates back in the opposite direction. For the blocks, the glass blocks, I have 2 glass blocks. One is the cube and one is the long glass block. So one of the glass block is just moving left to right, but our the cube is moving from left to right, as well as it's rotating in a defined manner. Same way for the wooden blocks, the long wooden block is just moving from left to right, but the wooden block is rotating and as well as moving from left to right. So let's dive into the code and see how we got this demo to work. So basically, here is this is how we got hold of the texture. And so you could see this is the background texture. This is our the unsorted one is where our birds were taken from. Then the glass block is for the glass block, the wood block is for the wooden blocks. This here this piece of code defines the from where exactly in this texture are these objects present. So this is their coordinates from where they have been taken from these textures. And over here is simply we are just simply creating displaying, we can say, just displaying these all our sprites onto this exact coordinates. So this is our brew piggy, the one that goes around. So it starts off from the exact X position over here, and then it goes around in a particular direction, and this is the width and the height. So this is basically the size, how big and how big they will look or how small they will look onto the screen. So I've just simply set all of them to 50. And down here, so this is all the aliens that are spinning around, and I've defined everyone with different speed, different curling angle. So that is how I got them to have different um, rotating speed. And so as you can see that big the big red bird has a scaling angle, scaling that it increases and decreasing in size. But the red bird that we saw was just there, it was just simply rotating. So this is how we got, this is simply the direction of on which side it is going to rotate and all that. And for this is the code for the pig that moves around the screen. I used the same code as the stitch, I guess, that was going around in the screen. But then I have used something new for the pig that is rotating in the bottom of the screen, that goes towards the edge of the screen and then returns back. So why minus 25? So I wanted the pig to be exactly inside and not cut off when it hits the end of the screen, because the and this is the long glass uh, long glass block that we saw that was just moving from left to right, and this is the cube glass that had a curl angle of 0.5. So I wanted it to rotate as well as move from left to right. We also had a second part of the program assignment, was that of creating getting used to a new engine called Box 2D. I mean, it's not new, but then it's new for us and for the subject. So let's look at the demo first. So as you can see that the birds, we were asked to create 4 birds, have 4 blocks, and also they fall down and then come to a complete halt in the bottom or on the ground or whatever, but then they have to come to a complete halt. So we saw that birds fell, they fell from a defined position from there, and then they hit the blocks, and then they fell down, and we have set a friction for these blocks so that they slide off from the blocks, so that they don't just once they hit the block, they just don't stick onto that block and then not move anywhere, but then we have that friction set to them so that they slips off from that block. So basically what we have done for this code is simply we created the same thing, the same texture, uh, from where we are going to get our sprites from, and we simply pinpointed from exactly where these sprites are and where to get them from. And we were also asked to clean up the code and make it as useful as possible for our, so that we can use the um, same files for our future assignments. So we have created so what we saw in our previous Azul code, we had a lot of lines had that we were required to create that particular object onto the screen. But but in this project, this is just achieved by these lines of code. It's roughly like 10 lines of code, and then we have created individual class for each sprites such as the birds, and we have also created for the block so that they have their own create method, and then this is how they are being pinpointed to the screen. I mean, this is where they will be on projected onto the screen or displayed onto the screen. That's the size of it. And one other feature is that the displaying the boxes around the blocks. So let's see again. We can see there's a faint line yellow box around the block. So that is what I have set toggle have left it, means used it over here, that if we set that to true then the box will be displayed. If we set it at false it won't be displayed. So if I just turn this to say true and save that, and let's get out of this demo, and then let me build that again, and now we can see that both of these blocks have a box around them. That is the one thing that we had in our previous project already. In the baseline of this box 2D, a basic or the base project of this base box 2D that we were given, it had these boxes, so we have set that. So this is what I have introduced, I mean not introduced but then used here, so that we just have to toggle it on true and false, and we can turn it on and off. So that was it for this week. Thank you.